Nice. If you agree, we start with our meeting. We have the first point, the adoption of the agenda. I welcome you all today to this meeting of our Standing Committee on Social Affairs, Employment, Education, Culture and Civil Society. If there are no remarks, the draft agenda for our meeting is amended, adopted as circulated. I would also like to inform you that today's meeting it is also web streamed and the interpretation is available in English, German and Russian. Due to the current composition of the committee members present, I will assume the task of sharing for the whole meeting on behalf of the European Parliament's co-chair, Mr. Silt. Unfortunately, he cannot be here with us today, while neither of the two vice-chairs could replace him. So if you agree, I think we can pass to the second point. Second point, approval of minutes of the meeting of the committee held on 19 March 2024 in Brussels. The minutes of our previous meeting was circulated to you. If there are no further remarks, these minutes are demanded adopted. I think that you agree that we adopted. No? Yes? So, we can pass to the point number 3. Vote on the draft report on Europe's Big Horizon, open for the best researchers. Our first task today is to proceed with the vote on the report of our committee, as amended after the voting session carried out remotely. After confirmation by the Bureau, the report as amended will be submitted tomorrow as a motion for resolution to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly for the final adoption. The co-rapporteur on the EP side for this report is Mr. Helmut, who took on this task on his own. On the Eastern Partner side, Mrs. Karapetyan took over the responsibility for the report of the Committee on Economic Affairs and could therefore not assume both roles at the same time. As it was decided by the Bureau, the amendment procedure took place electronically last week, well ahead of today's meeting. A total of 15 amendments to the draft report have been submitted, all of which were approved. The consolidated draft report was being distributed by email to the members by the Secretariat, and I think it's also available in the paper copy in this room. And I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Dan Barna from the Renew Group to say a few words on behalf of the rapporteur before proceeding to the vote on the report. Mr. Barma, the floor is yours, but I don't see.
He's not here.
It's not here, and now we have a problem.
We are just checking.
We need to, Mr. Barna. I don't know if we have conditions to present a report. I think no. We need to wait? Maybe.
Let's give it a few seconds. If not,
we don't have another colleague.
We'll do the vote, and then when he comes to the meeting room, he'll do the presentation.
It's not good, no? But we know if our colleague comes or not?
We are checking.
It's possible to check, please. Sorry. We lose our colleague. It's not good. No. No. We need a volunteer to present the report. No news? No news. So, we don't have our colleague to present the report.
One option is that you can read this out on his behalf, because this is agreed by Mr. Brandstetter.
Okay. So maybe I can read All of this?
You can shorten it.
No.
It's not that.
No. They fold the meeting and I need to read everything?
No, you can do as you deem appropriate.
Oh, so I read the paper. It's coming? Oh, yes, good. It's a lot. It's better to Mr. Mark. Sorry.
He's on his own.
We try to start at 2 p.m. in time, like in Brussels, in Armenia time, and we fail. What a crazy moment, no? Tricky. He's coming, no? But how much time my colleague needs to come to the meeting?
I think we can proceed with the vote on the rest of the agenda, because anyway, he's only reading this out on behalf of the rapporteur. Everyone knows that we are voting on the report, so we should proceed with the agenda, and when he comes, we'll give him the floor to say
Okay.
a few words about that.
So, colleagues, if you agree, we don't have our colleague, Mr. Barna. I think he's in the meeting. We pass to the point number 4, and we return to the point number 3 when our colleague comes to the meeting. It's okay? Yeah? So, we have the point number 4, exchange of views on cooperation in the area of research, innovation, and higher education between the EU and the Eastern Partnership region. Dear colleagues, further to our report, we also decided to dedicate this meeting to an exchange of views on a related topic. As you know, typically we will try to holding this exchange of views as an early input to the drafting process of the report itself. This time around this was not possible, but we still wanting to benefit from insights both from the European Commission and the partner countries. Therefore, I am grateful that we will have 3 excellent guest speakers with us today. As our report clearly emphasizes this, I don't need to harp at length about the relevance and importance of this topic. This holds for all Eastern Partnership countries, irrespective of their varying level of ambition and relation with the EU. This is an opportunity as much for stock-taking as for a future-oriented discussion. The EU is preparing the European Research Area Act to be launched in the late 2026, aiming to enshrine fifth freedom, the free movement of research, innovation and knowledge. As the Eastern Partnership countries must be part of this future from the beginning. The potential obstacles to researcher mobility turning brain drain into brain circulation remain as challenges. Investing in researchers in the wider European space, including from the Eastern Partnership, is also a contribution to European collective security, resilience and competitiveness. This also serves the overall goals of peace and stability. Now I give the floor to the speakers in the following order that we have in our agenda. And the first is Mr. Artur Deputy Minister of Education, Science, Culture and Sports of Republic of Armenia. Thank you so much for having accepted our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Madam Chair, dear Madam Karapetyan, distinguished colleagues from Euronest, I want to welcome you all in Yerevan and express that it's my absolute utmost pleasure and privilege to be next to you and have this opportunity to present on the progress we have scored so far in our relations with the European Union as it comes to the sectors of education, science, culture, sports, as well as youth affairs. I would like to start saying that we are really scoring a huge progress, and there are 3 levels of engagement we enjoy. One is, of course, the instruments by the European Union itself, like the Erasmus Plus or Horizon Europe or Creative Europe. The second one are the regional projects like EU for Youth or EU for Culture that are for the Eastern Partnership countries. And the third layer, of course, is the EU delegation in Armenia, with whom from which we get lots of support as it comes to the successful implementation of the ongoing reforms, as well as to the ad hoc requests that we might have, let's say, in cultural heritage preservation area or any other area. So let me start with the education. And here I would like to highlight that back in 2020, we started finally to redefine the Armenian public education criteria, which is now from knowledge-based, it was transformed to outcome-based and competency-based, which is absolutely in line with the European framework. And because of this, we piloted this through EU for Innovation project in one of our regions in northeast of Armenia, Tavush region, and now it was replicated to the entire, scaled up to the entire country. So finally, after like 30 plus years of independence, Armenian public education system is now competence-based and outcome-based, as I said, and absolutely in line with the European standards. I would also like to highlight that we have also one other project through EU for Innovation, which is about EU TUMO Convergence Center, which is like an unique educational product. Many of you might be aware of our educational products such as TUMO itself, which we have exported to different countries, including like Berlin, Paris, and other capitals, European capitals. And now we are working on the 18 plus kind of TUMO, which is already projects for the teenagers and youth to find better jobs and to get better qualifications. I would also like to highlight here the ETF, European Training Foundation, and its support, because they are doing now a project in Eastern Partnership through which we are reviewing our educational strategy, which, by the way, was adopted like 3 years ago, and it's the only sector strategy that is approved by the government. So it's the only sector strategy that has the highest legislative power, being adopted by the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia. We are doing quite good. Just to pass through other projects we are benefiting in education sector from the Erasmus Plus projects. I am pleased to say that the Armenian educational institutions, and particularly universities, they are becoming more and more proactive, and for doing capacity building, which are about institutional capacity building, and also they are about investing new professions and qualifications into Armenian higher education ecosystem. For both of these projects, they are taking lead, and I would like to say that out of 14 projects that are currently being implemented, for seven, the Armenian universities, they are the lead. which is not typical because we are not EU-based, our universities are not EU-based one, but they do benefit and take the lead role. So we are working further in this direction, and just to provide some figures, we have 355 students, student mobility, studying in European universities through Erasmus+. We have 182 academic mobility cases, and we have also 94 EU-based university members who are lecturing at the Armenian universities. On this note, I would like to say that as it comes to higher education and science, we recently, just this month, the National Assembly of Armenia adopted the law on higher education and science, which is much liberal and is absolutely in line with the European standards, and it encourages education flexibility, student mobility, academic mobility, teaching in foreign languages. So it's much more comfortable for the potential learners due to this law to study in Armenia. And we have the ambition to attract more and more international students in our universities. On this note, I would like to say that we are full member of the Horizon Europe project, and we used to partner also in Horizon 2020 project before the revolution, but our scores were not, we were not satisfied with our scores. We paid like 8 million euro, from which 4 million were reimbursed by the EU delegation in Armenia, and we could hardly do 4.3 million euro worth projects. But fortunately, after the revolution, we could progress, we could score significant progress, and I would like to say that for the Horizon Europe project cycle, we already have projects done as of 2025, as of now, already projects with the worth 8.11 million euros, which is quite significant progress, though, to be honest, the modality of the Horizon Europe, of the Horizon 2020 was much better, because you were paying like some amount, fixed amount, and then you could do as much as you can. And now our budget, we are reimbursing from the state budget the amount that we have not paid in advance, but due to the activities of our scientific society, R&D society, we have to pay later on. So this is about the Horizon Europe. So we had 177 applications, and that's quite significant, and I'm co-chairing this joint research committee with my European colleague, and we recently had last week the steering committee here in Armenia, and we both acknowledged that we have quite significant progress. Now moving to the Creative Europe. So Armenia is part of the Creative Europe desk, but not the media one, though this is unfortunate, and we are working on our local legislation to make sure that we are eligible to apply also for the media component, but we are part of the Creative Europe strand, and due to that, we are again doing quite big progress. Just, I want, if you are interested, I may provide details, but the thing is that if you take it in bigger sums, so just in 2023, we had like funding received for 159,000 euros. For last year, already 2024, it was raised to 250,000 euros. And I'm sure this funding could be raised more if we join the media component. And for us, the media component is not just another opportunity to, let's say, re-energize our creative sector, industry, but also it's part of democracy building too, because many of the potential beneficiaries and stakeholders would be the civil society organizations, the social media, etc. So we are super interested to join the media component too. And then as it comes to the culture, I would like to continue speaking about the EU for Armenia project, particularly of the creative industries this component of that. It's a €3 million worth project generously provided by the European Commission, and due to which we could quite re-energize our creative industry sector, because typically in Armenia, as post-Soviet society, culture is kind of a reimbursed or subsidized sector, while having the old culture and like ancient culture and rich cultural traditions, we could make culture as part of real economy, and that's the core purpose of the creative industries. And I would like to say that we have quite significant progress. It was operated by civil society organization, not by the government, but of course we provided full support, and due to this, the project is already phased out, it's finished, but we have ACA, Armenian Cultural Association, as the voice of the civil society in art and craft sector, which is like, place as the collective voice of the civil society in the culture sector to work with us to advance reform agenda in the culture sector. Also, EU implemented in Armenia and in Eastern Partnership countries a project called EU for Culture, which is about the raised role for the local municipalities in culture sector, which anticipates that eventually all communities would either have a separate culture strategy or they would have culture incorporated into the community 5-year-long development strategy. This is very important because again the post-Soviet mentality, through this mentality it's anticipated that the only role for culture is by the Ministry of Culture. In our case that's the Ministry of Education, Science, Culture and Sports, but of course the local authorities, municipalities should have their own role to work hand to hand with us and with the civil society organizations to make sure that culture is developed. So through this strategy, through this project, one of our cities, Ijevan, which was the finalist from Armenia, developed its own culture strategy, which is replicable to other municipalities of Armenia. I would like to say that we also, together with European Union delegation, we are holding traditionally dialogues on education, where we are twice a year, where we are gathering all key stakeholders in culture. That's of course, first of all, the European Union countries, bilateral, also through bilateral relations, such as French Institute by France, or like Alighieri Center by Italy, or Goethe Institute of Germany, and Art Nexus by Sweden, and many others. But because of this specific accent on culture, on Armenian culture, let's say, it's thought to be transformed, to be upgraded into Team Europe initiative, in the sense that it might be like a role model for other Eastern Partnership countries, for EU delegations to act in that manner. So, and we recently hosted the first dialogue also in the sector of culture, again bringing together all the key stakeholders. So for us it's a kind of donor coordination meeting or development partners meeting, where we are trying to leverage all the diverse resources and make them in line with the strategies, sector strategies adopted by our government. But B, it's also public consultation format in this or that way, so that we improve our strategies itself. Moving to the education sector, I would like to say that finally Armenia this year adopted the youth law, first ever law in youth sector, and that was good, and we are doing a lot in this sector, but I'm particularly in charge for that. But I would like to highlight that we have already opened and are opening youth centers across Armenia, where on top of like capacity development, intellectual entertainment, and many other things, we are putting special accent on active citizenship. So we want our young people to feel as agent of change, come together, get mobilized, and have their voice and raised participation in decision-making in Armenia. So that's what's happening there, and now once the law is adopted, we have a big program of implementation of the law, where we again anticipate the support of the European Union to make them all these nice projects to come true. I would like to say now we also have a budget support program in education from EU, which is 32 million euro worth project, and it's about the educational reforms, such as it's about the cluster schools, it's about the equipment of our laboratories, and many other nice things. And we are working.
Sorry, you're too close.
Sorry. And we are working. Is it better now? Since there is also TA connected with that, and it's implemented by the UNICEF, we are also benefiting for the entire education strategy implementation process, getting the support from the European Union. And as near as November 10, we will host our next education dialogue with the participation of resident and also non-resident embassies registered in the Republic of Armenia. As you might be aware, in the field of, we have comprehensive and enhanced partnership agreement, right? SIPA agreement, so-called SIPA agreement with the European Union. Unfortunately, there are no directives in the field of education, culture, science, and also sport and youth by the European Union, though I am aware from my European colleagues, European Commission colleagues, that they are working on some directives in higher education and research, maybe research. But the thing is that and why is the case? Because it's mostly regulated by the Council of Europe, like regulations such as Bologna process for higher education, Torino process for vocational education. That's mostly this is the reason behind, but it doesn't, how to say, we still feel encouraged to have provisions related to the education, science, culture, sports, and youth affairs in SIPA agreement. And I'm just coming from a government committee where we were discussing the new draft law on SIPA, where again we will have respective provisions in the respective sectors, though as I said, there are no specific directives. So in our case, the task or assignment, it's not about the approximation to European standards, because in this or that way we are already aligned or approximated due to the Bologna and Torino, as I mentioned, as examples. But still, we want to be active in the process and make sure that we are not just accepting the changes, but we are part of the changes as Eastern Partnership country. And then, in the existing SIPA agreement, laws that are, government regulations that are about SIPA implementation, we had 30 assignments by our ministry in all these 5 sectors, but now they are going to become 5. But these 5 would be more kind of comprehensive assignments that would make sure that we are absolutely aligned and approximated to the European standards. These are more or less what I wanted to say. Just one last note, that we are also part of the Resilient SUNIC project. There is a lot happening. It's really hard to, in one presentation to enlist all the nice projects that are being done in all these 3 layers I mentioned at the beginning of my speech. But I would like to say that we feel the spirit and breath of the European Union, and we are super thankful, because for us, our ministry is a little bit specific. So if in case of all other ministries, the challenge is the approximation itself, so to how to make sure that the European directives are part of the Armenian public life. In our case, it's also about cultural dialogue. So it's about bringing Armenia closer to Europe. And to be honest, in the field of culture, we don't feel we are next to European Union, but we are part of the European big culture. And in this case, we also try to leverage these multilateral platforms and modalities to the bilateral ones to have more and more projects and more exchanges between our culture, arts and crafts practitioners. So this much, thank you very much for your attention. Would be delighted to answer to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Artur. Now I open the floor to my colleagues. I don't know if someone has some questions to put or some reflections to share. Mr. Veriga, por favor.
Thank you, Carla, and thank you for such a deep description and presentation. I do have one question that most probably we, in the European Union, we are already facing, or we faced in the past when we just entered the European Union. And you have mentioned, and Carla, you also probably mentioned about the brain drain issue. And we all are working in order to allow young people more easy to move, more easy to study in different countries, and that's a very good point. And that's a very good thing for the young people to discover the world, to have an opportunities to study whatever they would like to do in their life. But at the same time, especially the new countries are facing this brain drain issue. And I can give an example. Now in the Parliament we have quite a deep discussion on health workforce shortages. And one of the proposals is to ease the possibility for the specialists to come into the European Union, to be easier recognized. But for me, as a member from the country that experienced this brain drain in a life, I don't think it's a very fair attitude. Of course, we should not think how to stop people from moving from country to country, but my question is how you would see how we can, let's say, discover the ways how to motivate people to stay in the countries and to avoid this extensive brain draining, because, you know, there are some practices when, even after the good code of practices introduced by World Health Organization, that member states should not act aggressively by recruiting intentionally the workforce from different member states, it still doesn't work. So what would be your perspective how to deal with that? Because it's just a question of time. This is not if, it's just a question when, and most probably you're already facing this problem.
So my name is Jonas Sjöstedt. I'm a Swedish member of the European Parliament, and you have to excuse my lack of knowledge of the higher education in Armenia, but I would like to ask some questions out of curiosity. You spoke about your goal to welcome students from other countries to study here and to have this exchange of students. And of course, Armenian is a very unique and historic language, but it's not spoken by many people outside of the Armenian diaspora and Armenia. Do you give courses in English and Russian? And I know that you also have had a substantial influx of young Russians moving to Armenia, especially after the war of aggression against Ukraine. And do you consider giving them an opportunity to continue research or education in Armenia, where they could have a larger freedom also of expression and of academic freedom? Thank you.
Colleague, sorry, but it's possible for me to see your name for this floor. Can you say your name, please? Sorry, you need to help me because it's impossible
Yes.
to read from this part of the room.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, my name is Immelt Bosdorf. I'm a member from the group of ESN, and I have a question
Good
as
morning.
well.
Can you hear me?
I'm interested why you have so many female students in Armenia. I read that more than 2/3 of the students are female. So when we speak about gender equality and supporting women, I think in Armenia perhaps it would work the other way around, supporting men to study at university.
I can't hear you. Okay. Thank you. I feel less alone.
Thanks. Maybe now the Deputy Minister, you can answer to these 3 questions. Yes.
Thank you very much for...
I know that you have another meeting now. You need to go.
I
Yes.
should run, but
Sorry.
I'm good, yeah. Thank you very much for very interesting and very legitimate questions. So I will start by the brain drain issue. I think that's like inevitable challenge for many countries in developing context. And of course, we should all the time, while making bilateral, multilateral projects, be very considerate on this dimension of brain drain dimension, because you are absolutely right. So there is always this danger that it will increase, and you will implicitly even kind of encourage the brain drain. So I can assure that we are absolutely considerate on that. But our approach is kind of more liberal. We are thinking this way. So we should not kind of use restraints. Instead, we should use carrots. Like we should make Armenia a nice place, for pursuing higher education. We should have a good economy where like many of our professionals, and not only the locals but others, would prefer to stay. And I would use this opportunity to say that finally, we have a big project on Academic City, which is a very ambitious, multi-billion word project, and it assumes that next to Yerevan, we will have a big, let's say, campus university with diverse clusters, where we will synergize, both converge science research with education, right? And where we will have more centralized approach to different qualifications using the cluster approach. And we are doing this with a couple of German-led know-hows and universities, and I am pleased, it's more yet to come, but we are already in the phase of making it from concept like a project proposal. And the ambition is that by education strategy till 2030, we should double the number of our foreign students, and which now stand around 7,500, which is quite a little. But that's not little because we are people don't prefer to come here, but we are very strict, because we are not sacrificing quality, and we are trying to keep the standard, and we are doing very careful scrutinizing, the documentation, so that it's no way a matter of migration or other types of things. So the ambition is there, and we hope that eventually, with the raise of the quality, the level of living in Armenia would raise equally, or GDP, and respectively more people would prefer to come here, and not only those of diaspora or some altruists or etc., but they would come in mass, and they would, first of all, the population of Armenia would prefer to stay in Armenia and enjoy Western life standards and HDI, but staying in their home country. That's the kind of ambition. So from our end, we are working from the dimension of education and other fields, but that's more holistic approach needed from the government, which I think is being carried out. Coming to the question of foreign languages, I would say that we have Armenian saying that says the more languages you know, the more person you are. If you know 5 languages, you are kind of 5 persons. It sounds a little bit generic, but the core idea is that, and I think it was part of the survival mode across centuries to come to this stage, knowing many languages, being more, how to say, agile and more prepared and more educated, more investments in human capital. That's how we also, it was part of this trajectory that we passed. And now we are encouraging foreign languages, both in public schools and of course also in VET and academic higher educational institutions, but no way sacrificing the local language. Like for us, it's part of identity, so by the Armenian educational criteria, the language for the citizens of Armenia, the primary language of education is Armenian. And that is the case. But of course, as second languages, we are encouraging many, many languages. I myself, being in charge for that in our big ministry, we are like encouraging Italian, French, German, Russian, all the others, so we are very open. And the new law on higher education and science raises the opportunities for organizing educational process in foreign languages already at university level. So it's much more clear that it's possible in the new law, and that's nice. We also think of this as an incentive for foreign students to pursue higher education in Armenia, and hope that it would be the case. Coming to the particular question on the Russian migrants, so they have no problem, they are classrooms with upgraded Russian education, where they have more lessons, let's say more teaching hours in Russian, and also there are so-called Russian sectors, like where they study subjects in Russian. So they don't face problems, and we are reacting to the situation based on the number of potential applicants, and so far we didn't face any problem in that regard. And coming to the gender issue, it's interesting that, like in Armenia, we are a democratic society. We are open to all. And if the case is that more female preferred, though I would little bit question the exact figure that is twice more than. But if there is this balance of female prevailing in higher educational institutions, student population, I would say the case could be related to, that young female ladies, they prefer academic career more, or they prefer it more. But we are open to all, and we encourage all, regardless of their gender, ethnic, other racial background, all to pursue their academic or education career as far as they want. So. That much. I hope I answered to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tur. I don't know if you have more questions or reflections in this point. No? No. Thank you so much for this moment and to share with us. You know that Horizon and Erasmus Plus, it's very important for us in the European Parliament. We fight a lot with the Commission to have more money in these programs because we think they are very, very important to the European and to the Armenian people too. Thank you so much for to share with us this experience in your country.
Thank you very, very much. But just on that note, if I may, of course it's not an initiative that might come from Armenia as a single country, but I think for many countries, the Horizon 2020 modality was much preferable than Horizon Europe. And if I think that's a matter of legislative body, and if you can consider that, so that we move to something like Horizon 2020. For example, in case of culture, like Creative Europe, it works that like you are paying some amount, and then it's up to you to do as much as you can. While in case of Horizon Europe, that's not the case, unfortunately, but hope you would just consider it in your future policy making for the next cycle that is upcoming. It's like in 27, we will have the third cycle, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, if we agree, if we return to the point number 3. And I give the floor to our colleague, Mr. Barner. The floor is yours to present the report about what we are discussing in the Europe's big horizon open for in the best research. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, our Armenian colleagues, for hosting this Euronest Assembly. Our European Parliament rapporteur for this particular report is my colleague Helmut Brandstatter, who cannot be with us here today, and he asked me to step in and say a few words on his behalf, summarizing the main ideas of the report and the significance of this particular topic. As the title suggests, our topic relates to the mobility of researchers and the need to strive for excellence and openness in the research cooperations. This issue has cross-cutting social implication. It is therefore fitting that our committee deals with this topic, while of course it could also be equally relevant for the Economic Affairs Committee. Horizon Europe is the European Union's unique and ambitious program for scientific operations and research, underpinning innovation and Europe's competitiveness. And this is something that is coming increasingly to the forefront also in the Eastern Partnership. It is important that we address this topic for a number of reasons. First of all, if the Eastern Partnership is to keep its relevance, it must bring tangible benefits for citizens in all the partner countries and also foster inter and intra-regional cooperation. Secondly, we live in an era of geopolitical tension, global economic, scientific, and innovation competition. It is clear that while the European continent as a whole risks falling behind in this race, we need to invest in knowledge in the scientific ecosystems, as well as innovation and entrepreneurship, and find ways to address societal challenges. Many of these challenges are shared across our societies in the European Union and at the same time in Eastern Partnership region. Closer involvement of the Eastern Partnership countries in Horizon Europe and the European research area combines working towards these strategic goals. Within this report, we hope to direct a bit of attention to this topic and take stock of where we are. This is all the more important as preparations for the next framework program are underway. The report underlines the mutual benefits and shared interest. Stepping up participation by Eastern Partnership entities and researchers, as well as EU support, is clearly a win-win outcome. This should also build on the other tangible goals and benchmarks of the Eastern Partnership on investment, people-to-people contacts, and youth, making this particularly relevant for our committee. Of course, this comes with many challenges which are reflected in the report. Alignment with the EU research ecosystem is a challenge, but at the same time also a requirement and an incentive, especially for the countries pursuing EU accession. Brain drain, academic freedom, or obstacle to researcher mobility also need to be addressed. Furthermore, this region also faces specific issue if we think of the ongoing war of aggression against Ukraine or the researchers at risk in Belarus, for instance. The rapporteur would like to thank you for your amendment contributions, notably to Mr. Kanev and the Ukrainian delegations. Virtually all these amendments are constructive and non-controversial and bring useful and complementary points, notably on the aspect just mentioned. Therefore, as indicated in the ballot sheet, we are happy to support all of them, and the votes also reflect a wide consensual support for the amendments. Perhaps one small remark related to the Amendment 9, tabled by the Ukrainian delegations. While the role of research in addressing the issue mentioned in this amendment is of course something we can all support in principle, the reference to the use of new technologies and artificial intelligence should be understood as going hand in hand with the required safeguards and limitations to guarantee privacy and fundamental rights. Otherwise, it could be understood as promoting digital surveillance. This is why the rapporteur decided to abstain on this amendment. Nevertheless, this amendment received the required majority, 2/3, and was therefore deemed adopted and will be included in the text referred to the plenary for adoption. So thank you again for your cooperation and contribution. Of course, this report could be more complete and comprehensive if all delegations could contribute and be present today. However, we understand the constraints of political calendars and agendas and hope that we can follow up on this in the near future. Therefore, I can only encourage all members to vote in the favor of the report as a whole as it was amended. Thank you for your attention, and also in my name, I thank you for this work you've done together on this report.
Thank you so much. Now I open the floor to the colleagues. I don't know if someone wants to have an interview. The colleague, please.
Thank you.
Can you say your name, please?
My
it's
name
difficult for me.
Konstantin Bondarev
Try to read.
from Ukraine. I want to attract your attention for one point. We not discuss about now about it. We support this report, but I want ask you think about one point. One day this war will finish and this empire will destroy it. Russia fall down. But what happened after that? You understand, 1 million people is military today in Ukrainian army. 1.5 million is officially Russian army, but really more than 3 million. The people now are employed, and after finish the war, they will find the job. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of place for the work. And we remember 30 years ago, it called lack of bush. It's chicken wings. You remember this? It's airplane delivery these goods to USSR because a lot of people have no eat, and it's serious problem. And also we will have a lot of people from scientific community which employ today in military. They can do something much better. They then find new weapons. They can do something for the medicine or something else. It's very important, like me, things for do some project for the future altogether. It's not question for the report for today, but things for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. I think in this point it's better to talk about the report. I understand, and all of us understand your concerns. Maybe you can discuss this or in the end, in the other points or in another moment, because this report it's about what we have today, the reality that we have today, not about the future. But I think all of us understand that the future is a big concern for Ukraine and for all Europeans. I don't know if in this point we have more. Do you want to use the, no? So maybe you can vote. Please let us know if there are any substitute members present who are stepping in for colleagues that could not be present today. We don't have. Sorry, colleague, can you tell your... it's impossible. I need to have Mr. Sieper. You want to use the floor? No. You want to use the floor now to Yes, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me begin by also thanking our rapporteur and the Social Committee for this excellent report. It is a document that proves that innovation and inclusion are not contradictions, they are mutually reinforcing forces. I support this report because it reminds us that Europe's strength in research is not just measured in patents and publication, but in how many people it empowers to contribute. And the same goes, of course, for our friends here in the Caucasus. That is why I also have proposed a small amendment to paragraph 9 to explicitly include LGBTIQ+ personas alongside women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and to underline the principles of diversity and non-discrimination. This amendment was tabled today, so it will be voted on in the plenary tomorrow. The visibility of LGBTIQ+ people is not a threat to traditional values, because they too belong to the families of our nations. And we know from research that even in ancient Athens, the birthplace of our democracy, there was more tolerance for love between equals than in many of our societies today. Their education and full participation are not only a moral imperative, they are a demographic and economic necessity. In a world struggling with skill shortages and aging populations, we cannot afford to leave talent untapped simply because it loves differently. As someone who believes in peace between all people, in love and empathy between human beings, it normally gives me no joy to bring such topic up again, except because I find it rather funny that the same Russian agent listening to our meeting today is probably just as alarmed by the idea of deeper military cooperation between the EU and our Euronest partners as he is by the idea that LGBTQ people might have the same rights as everyone else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleague. Now I think you can vote after this. I would like to remind you that we will vote by a simple show of hands. Let me remind you that each member has a single, personal and non-transferable vote. We have received no request for a vote by separate component. The committee takes its decision by a 2/3 majority of the members who take part in the vote. So let us proceed to the vote. Who approves the report as amended? Who approved? I think we have the majority. Who reject? I need to ask. Who reject? No one? Who abstain? No one. Okay. Thank you. I congratulate and thank you, our rapporteur, for this work and also for your contributions. I think that this report reflects our willingness to address a topic that is truly cross-cutting and an important pillar of the overall success of the Eastern Partnership. The adopted version of the report will be circulated shortly, and I would like to stress that the deadline for amendments for the plenary has been set by the Bureau for tomorrow, Wednesday at 10 a.m. local time. I would like to remind members that pursuant to Article 20 of the Rules of the Procedure, amendments to text debated during the session may be tabled by a minimum of 5 members of the Euronest PA or by a political group. Amendments should relate to the text they seek to alter and should be submitted in writing. The Bureau may decide the amendment to be inadmissible on basis of these criteria. So I think we can pass to the other point. We close this point and we return to the point number 4. And we have with us, with the remote participation, Carol Mansell, Head of Unit International Cooperation, Europe and Americas, the GFTD, European Commission. And I give the floor to the Carol Mansell.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear members of the Euronest Assembly. dear Ms. Ivashenko, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to speak today and apologize for the connection issues earlier. It's an honor to join you and to share the European Commission's perspective on how research and innovation can strengthen cooperation between the EU and the Eastern Partnership region. And just last week, I returned from Yerevan, where I co-chaired the fourth EU-Armenia Joint Committee meeting under the Armenia's Association Agreement to Horizon Europe, the world's largest funding program for research and innovation. And that participation in this committee reminded me once again how powerful scientific cooperation can be in connecting people, in building trust, and in shaping our shared future. For over 16 years, the Eastern Partnership has helped bring our neighbors closer to the European Union. It has been key in supporting reforms, in building economic links, and in aligning legal and political systems. Ukraine and Moldova's candidate status owes much to this gradual but determined convergence. And all our Eastern partners, except Belarus, continue to benefit from the Eastern Partnership framework, even as their individual ambitions evolve. Armenia, our host today, sees this regional cooperation as the way to deepen its ties with the EU and diversify its partnerships. Regional Eastern Partnership events also create valuable opportunities for dialogue. It is significant, for example, that both Armenia and Azerbaijan have continued to sit at the same table at our Eastern Partnership working groups on research and innovation, most recently in Vilnius, Chisinau, and soon again in Berlin in November. And this willingness to engage is a sign of hope and also maturity. We also witnessed a historic breakthrough in Washington this August, marking a strategic shift in the region. And the EU will continue to step up its support in regional connectivity, in trade, energy, transport, and importantly, in research and innovation. And we believe people-to-people exchanges remain a cornerstone of this cooperation. Following the 2023 Eastern Partnership Ministerial Meeting, we are shaping a partnership that is flexible, incentive-based, and open to cooperation beyond its immediate geography, linking with the Western Balkans, Central Asia, and the Black Sea region. And this vision is captured in the new Eastern Partnership Multi-Annual Work Plan 25-27, which refocuses our agenda on democratic resilience, socio-economic development, investment, and youth. So the Eastern Partnership continues to adapt to a changed geopolitical landscape while staying faithful to its purpose, which is promoting stability, prosperity, and shared European values. One of the greatest strengths of the Eastern Partnership lies in its vibrant human dimension, connecting young people, connecting researchers, innovators, local authorities, and civil society. And in the current geopolitical context, this cooperation builds resilience, competitiveness, and a sense of shared purpose, which we should all nurture. By investing in knowledge and innovation, we not only foster growth, but also strengthen democracy and independence. Research and innovation are not just technical matters. They are tools of sovereignty, they are drivers of transformation. And the European Commission has consistently encouraged Eastern Partnership partners to seize the opportunities of Horizon Europe, especially by linking them with the EU's broader economic and investment plan for the region. To sustain a dialogue, the DG in which I am working, DG Research and Innovation in the European Commission, has convened annual informal working group meetings on research and innovation with Eastern Partnership countries and EU member states in 2022. And these meetings have become vital platforms to exchange ideas, share best practices, and reinforce mutual trust. At a time when Russia's aggression against Ukraine challenges the very foundation of international law, these collaborative efforts take even deeper meaning. Research and innovation cooperation is a statement of unity, of our shared belief in democracy, human rights, and progress through knowledge. 4 Eastern Partnership countries, Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine, are now associated to Horizon Europe. This means that their researchers and institutions enjoy the same rights and opportunities as those of EU member states. And since the program's launch in 2021, participation from these countries has grown by over 50% compared to their participation in the previous Horizon 2020 program. This is a remarkable success story, a proof that talent, ambition, and excellence know no border. And to further boost participation, the European Commission launched a 1.2 million euro support project in 2022, which supports and facilitates the participation of entities from these countries in Horizon Europe by facilitating the proposal writing of these countries, by facilitating expert consultation and mentoring, and eventually this helps Eastern Partnership researchers and innovators to compete successfully and integrate more deeply into the European research area. Horizon Europe is much more than a funding mechanism. It's the world's largest public investment in research and innovation, with 93.5 billion euro commitment to turn bold ideas into real-world impact. Over 40 years of EU framework programs, it has nurtured 35 Nobel Prize winners and thousands of breakthroughs. So we know that, we witnessed that under Horizon Europe alone, more than 15,000 projects have already received funding, from clean energy and quantum computing to new antibiotics, and also through accessible AI, to give a few examples. 80% of project funding by the ERC, the European Research Council, have produced major scientific advances. And every euro invested through the European Innovation Council attracts over 3 euros in investments, in private investments, showing how public funding sparks private confidence. The program also promotes inclusiveness, participation from widening countries, so those countries with emerging research system has grown from 47% under Horizon 2020 to 58% today. And the 4 countries from the Eastern Partnership that associated to Horizon Europe are considered as widening countries, so they are part of this growth. And helping more widening countries aims at widening the innovation gap between less advanced countries in research and innovation and more advanced, and closing this gap benefits the entire European ecosystem. So for our Eastern partners, Association to Horizon Europe is not just about funding, it's also about aligning standards, about fostering innovation, and about sharing European values. And we see now tangible progress in the Eastern Partnership region. We see that participation and visibility has increased. More institutions, SMEs, and researchers are joining European consortia, so Horizon Europe consortia participating in the program. And this is a sign that the region is becoming a credible, competitive part of Europe's innovation landscape. We also see that joint projects are addressing shared challenges, from digital technologies, climate adaptation to democracy and social inclusion. For instance, the REDEMOS project explores democratization processes in the Eastern Partnership region, linking researchers from Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine with partners across Europe. We also see that support for innovation and SMEs has accelerated. Startups in Moldova, in Ukraine are growing thanks to EU networks and cross-border investment. Human capital development remains a key success. Through Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, researchers gain international experience and mobility. And a particular inspiring initiative is the MSCA SAFE project, which offers fellowships to researchers at risk. It has already supported 56 scholars hosted by 13 EU countries with 12 million euro support in funding, which is a true support of European solidarity. Policy reforms are emerging as well. So we see participation in Horizon Europe has encouraged Eastern Partnership government to strengthen transparency, improve governance, launch national research and innovation program, building lasting institutional capacity. And together, those achievements show that the Eastern Partnership region is evolving from being mainly a beneficiary of EU support to becoming an active co-creator of Europe's knowledge and innovation ecosystem, which we very much welcome. Now, as we look ahead to the next EU framework program for research and innovation, we also must confront several challenges. Participation in Horizon Europe among Eastern Partnership countries remains uneven, and some countries, such as Azerbaijan, are underrepresented. We also face the challenge that geopolitical instability and conflict continue, unfortunately, to disrupt collaboration. We see that brain drain persists, and we want to work in order to turn this brain drain into brain circulation. So making sure that countries of origin of researchers benefit back from these researchers that participated in projects in EU member states or associated countries. The twin green and digital transition demand new infrastructure and skills that are unevenly available, so we also need to work on that. Many institutions still face administrative burdens that limit their absorption capacity. And finally, translating research into market-ready innovation remains a challenge, not only in the EU, but also in the Eastern Partnership countries. And we need to face this challenge in order to work and improve on our competitiveness and improve our competitiveness. So to meet these challenges, we must make the next program more inclusive, more resilient, and impact-driven. So we need to ensure equity of participation, provide tailored support, mentoring, and training so that Eastern Partnership partners, regardless of their size or resources, can compete on an equal footing with participants and research entities from EU member states. We want also to maintain flexibility in collaboration, which means to design mechanisms that keep cooperation alive even in times of crisis, with flexible deadlines and hybrid collaboration models. We want to retain and attract talent, so offer grants and career paths that encourage researchers to stay and thrive in the region, strengthening local innovation ecosystems. We need to work to accelerate the green and digital transition, so direct funding towards regional priorities must be fully aligned with EU Green Deal goals. We want to work to close the gaps between research and the market, which means support startup, pilot projects and innovation clusters that can turn ideas into practical solutions and commercial success. We also need to build institutional capacity, encourage policy alignment, and foster long-term networks. So move beyond isolated projects to build durable partnerships that connect academia, industry, and government across borders. So let us imagine a future where the Eastern Partnership region is not on the periphery, but is better connected to Europe innovation, where Armenia startups collaborate with German tech clusters, where Georgian research centers lead digital transformation, and where Ukrainian engineers pioneer climate-smart technologies, and also democratic Belarus rejoins this family of cooperation. And in that future the EU program will not just fund participation, but nurture co-ownership and co-leadership. So to make this vision come through, we need everyone. So everyone has a role to play. Governments must prioritize research and innovation in policy and funding, opening institutions to international collaboration. Universities and research institutes should build capacity, seek partnerships, and focus on solutions that address both local needs and European goals. Businesses and SMEs should embrace innovation, join EU-funded projects, and connect to European value chains. The EU and its research community must continue to open doors, provide tailored instruments, and ensure long-term support for institutional development. And civil societies and citizens must hold us accountable, demanding that innovation serves society, strengthens resilience, and improves lives. So in conclusion, the Horizon Europe program has already transformed the Eastern Partnership region, has already strengthened integration, built capacity, and fostered shared success, but the journey is far from over. The next decade offers a historic opportunity to turn participation into leadership, cooperation into co-creation, and I think that together we can build a Europe whole, resilient, innovative, where knowledge unites us and where progress is shared. So let us invest in our people, in our institutions and partnerships, and shape a truly integrated, knowledge-driven future for Europe and its eastern neighbors. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you so much. If you agree, I open the floor to my colleagues now, because we have another participation online after this. Colleagues, I don't know if someone have reflections or questions to share in this moment. Nothing? No? No? Thank you so much, Ms. Carole Mancel Blanchard, for the presentation. And we pass to the Ms. Daria Ivashchenko, from the Science Development Consultant on European Integration at the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, with a remote participation too. Mrs. Daria, please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear co-chairs, dear colleague, dear Ms. Mancel Blanchard. Please accept my assurances of highest consideration. I'm very pleased to be part of this meeting today. And with a reference to the previous speaker, I would like to highlight the experience of Ukraine's cooperation within Horizon Europe and the research and innovation landscape. I will share the presentation. Please.
We can saw.
Yes, I see it. I just want to set up.
I think it's okay, no?
Yeah,
It's
yes, it's okay. I just want to go to the preview.
What happened?
Okay. So, today I will present...
No, we don't see anything. Oh,
You don't see anything?
now we see again.
You see again.
You can
Okay.
go on, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Then today I will present an overview on Ukraine's research and innovation landscape, on participation in Horizon Europe, and recent international initiatives supporting Ukraine's scientific recovery and integration in the European research area. First of all, let me dwell on a few words on the Ukrainian research and innovation landscape. Ukraine has a broad and complex research and innovation landscape. We have more than 318 higher education institutions and 324 research institutions governed by 21 organizations, including the Ministry of Education and Science and the National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine. Despite limited financial resources, Ukraine continues to maintain a strong scientific base. And one may not avoid telling about the cooperation and our research and innovation integration without the circumstances we live in. So we have consequence of war affecting us. Unfortunately, the war has caused several damage to our research infrastructure and significant human losses. About 30% of Ukrainian research infrastructure have been damaged or destroyed. More than 20% of Ukrainian researchers have been displaced or forced to work remotely. And over 80%, nevertheless, of researchers continue their work in Ukraine. On this slide, you may witness the effects of war which our infrastructure faces. These are the photos that show examples of destruction universities in Kharkiv, Sumy, and Mykolaiv, yet also the resilience of our scientific community. But nevertheless, we continue our Euro integration course. In this regard, Ukraine's European integration process has now entered a crucial phase, the screening of Chapter 25, Science and Research. And this chapter focuses on aligning Ukraine's national research and innovation system with the EU acquis communautaire and the European research area principles. So our goal is to ensure that Ukrainian scientists and institutions are fully integrated into European research ecosystem, not only through Horizon Europe participation, but also through structural reforms, legislation, harmonization, and capacity building. So this process will also help us prepare for future participation in the next framework program, the 10th, and for the broader goal of EU membership in the field of science and research. In essence, Euro integration in this context is not only a political goal, it's a strategic transformation of our research system towards European standards of excellence, openness, and impact. Nevertheless, we still hold a wider international cooperation. So a major milestone this year was launched of the International Coalition for Science, Research and Innovation in Ukraine. The coalition was established with the signing of the Rome Declaration on the 11th of July 2025 during the conference in Rome. And also recently, the inaugural meeting took place on 15th of October 2025. The coalition currently brings together 14 countries, the European Commission and the several international organizations. The mission of the coalition is to ensure the urgent and long-term recovery of Ukraine's research and innovation ecosystem, enabling sustainable and inclusive rebuilding of the country. Its key objectives also include such things as advocating for the role of science and innovation in Ukraine's recovery, supporting the reconstruction and modernization of research infrastructure, providing assistance to Ukrainian researchers and innovators both in Ukraine and abroad, promoting technology transfer and startup development, supporting Ukraine's integration into European research area. It is expected that through the coalition's activities, donor support for science and innovation, we will grow significantly, increasing national research and innovation funding from less than 1% to 1% GDP by 2027. These are the very ambiguous goals regarding the coalition. But still let us highlight our Horizon Europe participation of Ukraine and steps made toward this. 4 years ago, the agreement on Ukraine's participation in the Horizon Europe program was signed. This milestone reaffirmed our strong cooperation and Ukraine's integration into the European research area. Our meetings have always served as an important platform to discuss key areas of cooperation, address urgent challenges, and launch new joint initiatives. We greatly value Ukraine's participation in Horizon Europe, which opens significant opportunities for Ukrainian researchers and strengthens our shared scientific community. Well, actually, as for infrastructure support, since joining Horizon Europe, the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine has built a comprehensive support system for Ukrainian participants in the program, which includes with financial support from the European Commission and in cooperation with National Research Foundation of Ukraine, we established the Horizon Europe office in Ukraine. We also developed a national network of 22 national contact points covering 11 thematic areas based in 14 universities, 4 research institutes, the National Academy of Science of Ukraine, and 2 state institutions. The NCP network operates across 12 cities in 10 regions of Ukraine. This support infrastructure demonstrates our strong commitment to fostering research and innovation cooperation. In addition, 39 Ukrainian representatives have been nominated to 14 Horizon Europe program committees. Its main objective is to increase the number of projects, application, participation organizations, partnerships, and collaboration within Horizon Europe. So, as for the National Contact Points Network, the Ministry of Education and Science provides organizational and financial support for the activities of the Ukrainian NCP network. In 2025, around 230,000 euros were funded for the operation of 22 national contact points. Despite the high performance of NCPs, over 100 information events held in 2025, we aim to increase Ukraine's participation result, including more submitted project proposals and signed grant agreements. In June 2025, we create specific digital instrument for electronic reporting in the national system called URIS for NCPs and digital calendar for events. Also, in September 2025, the Coordination Center, which belongs to Horizon Europe office in Ukraine, ended the monitoring process of NCP's activities for the first half of 2025 in accordance with the established KPIs. We believe that joint work, which gathers Ministry, Horizon Office in Ukraine, and NCP and our European partners, will complete better results in Horizon Europe program. As for the Ukraine's participation in Horizon Europe's program itself, on this slide you may see the key figures illustrating Ukraine's participation in the program. The amount of applications submitted, the amount of grants agreements which were signed, the amount of funding the Ukrainian organization participated. But I would like mostly dwell on and highlight that over the 30% of higher education institutions became the participants, contributed to the Horizon program. Here you may see the top 10 universities under the Horizon Europe program, and actually their contribution is immense. Moreover, within the Horizon Europe, we have several projects. The first one is the LUC project. It's a project which was launched in 2025, led by Germany, aims to establish a multilateral platform for funding and capacity building with a particular focus on supporting Ukraine. The second one is REEF, which is Research Infrastructure for the Future of Ukraine, roadmap for sustained growth and recovery. The main objectives of this project is analyzing Ukraine's research infrastructure, developing a research infrastructure roadmap for Ukraine, engaging a broad range of stakeholders, including government representatives, policymakers, and the scientific community. The roadmap will be prepared using the expert assessment methodology of the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures, with input from international expert groups. As we know, the project coordinator has sent a letter regarding the potential participation of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine in the project. And the last but not the least is the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. From March 2025, the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine is a member of the consortium of the project Climate Neutral, Sustainable and Productive Blue Economy Partnership, and now open the first call for Ukrainian organization without our funding. The next slide will be the illustration of our aspiration on this way. So at the part of its European integration strategy, Ukraine reaffirms its full commitment to active participation in the European Research Area Policy Agenda 2025-2027, taking into our capacities. In 2025, the Ministry established a working group to develop the roadmap for Ukraine's integration into ERA. Now we prepared a draft version of the roadmap. These are recent achievements. Also, we are planning discussions with European experts in November 2025 within the TAIEX program, and actually, we are planning that the new ERA roadmap will be approved by the end of 2025. Speaking about the achievements in the 9th framework program and preparing for Ukraine's participation at the 10th framework program, you can see on this slide our goals and objectives by the end of the Horizon Europe program, which are: every second Ukrainian scientist has experience in submitting application. 75% of innovative enterprises are involved in project implementations. 100% of Ukrainian universities have experience in submitting projects, and 75% of scientific institutions have experience in submitting projects as well. Taking this opportunity, I would like to underline our strong interest in joining the next 10th framework program for research and innovation, and admit that despite the daily challenges, Ukraine already has strong experience from previous framework programs, and This is our experience, and we look for fruitful cooperation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Daria. I don't know if the colleagues want to put some questions or share some points. No? Nothing to share. So I would like to thanks to our guest speakers and to the colleagues, and we finish this point number 5 and pass to the point number 6. I think it's important to reflect and to push to our Horizon program, Erasmus Plus, Creative Europe. Like I said in the other interview, they are our biggest and strong European programs, support the member states and the other countries in the EU, so we need to fight and push for these programs to all of us in Europe. So we can pass to the point number 5, I think. And here, I don't know if we have maybe a difficulty, but we need to see. The next item on our agenda is the choice of the topic for the next report in our committee. The recall, we circulated the proposals that we received, the Secretariat received, but we need to have a proposal today, or if it's not possible to have a proposal today, try to have a decision on the next report circulated by the co-chairs in a written procedure, like we sometimes do in the other committees in the European Parliament. I don't know, it is the best. You decide it. I don't see a lot of colleagues in the room. Maybe the written procedure will be the best for us, I think. I don't know if the colleagues from Ukraine agree. I think it's the best because we don't have a lot of colleagues in the meeting now. But we need to approve tomorrow in the boardroom. But the co-chairs can propose by a written procedure, no? Yes, maybe it's the best, no? What do you think? Tell me. What do you prefer? Decide it today? Or tomorrow in the boardroom we have a decision to have a written procedure like we usually, or sometimes we have in the other committees. I think maybe it will be the best because we don't have a lot of colleagues in the meeting, but I will do what you prefer. Tell me, please. What is your opinion?
Yes, I completely agree on doing that in a written procedure.
Microphone for the speaker, please.
Tomorrow in the boardroom meeting, we prepare a written procedure with the co-chairs. No, it's the best, I think.
Yeah, to agree on.
You agree with this? Okay. So we pass to the point number 6, the planning of the next meeting and forthcoming activities. The next report will depend on parliamentary calendars. This will be discussed again by the Bureau, and you will be informed in due course. In the meantime, if any of you has suggestions for upcoming activities or topics for discussion, please let us and the Secretariat know what is your suggestions to the next discussion. I don't know if in this moment of the meeting we have some suggestions. I think no. So we pass to the 7th point, the last point, any other business. I don't know if you have some points to want to discuss. If we don't have it, we close our meeting. Thank you very much, and thank you for our guests for this moment. Thank you. So we don't have calling.